Hello folks, today we'll be working on a Champion inverter 3500. Uh, we've been in contact with the Champion helpline, and their first suggestion was to replace the AVR, which that has already been done, and it did not fix the problem. The problem with this unit is it'll start up and the 110 outlets will work momentarily, and then they'll shut off. Sometimes we'll get an overload light, and sometimes no lights. But it comes and goes, and the idle is very erratic. So at this point, they have requested that we replace the inverter module, and they also sent a stepper motor for the carburetor. They said that they were having some issues with that, and it could cause some of the symptoms that we're having. So working with Champion's been pretty good. They gave us the stepper motor, and they also gave us the AVR with no charge. So very good company to work with so far. I'm not endorsing them, but we're not doing a review on this product. We're just going to do the repair. So the inverter module is in this section of the inverter. This is also where the battery is located. There's two screws here, one on each side. We got two 10 millimeters onto here. These are Phillips, and then there's three Phillips across the top. We're currently living off grid, so we're not working on a shop. We'll be actually working off a picnic bench today. We're waiting for some buildings to be constructed here. So, but in any case, let's get started on this thing. So before removing the cover totally, one of the things that we want to do is disconnect the negative battery cable. We'll start by disconnecting that. I can't remember once we get in there if I'll have to remove the battery at all, but it's always good practice to remove that cable. Alright, so here we have the cover loose, and we've exposed the inverter module. I wanted to point out this is the AVR right here. This part has been replaced already, and it did not correct the problem. In removing this cover, there is a canister, charcoal canister here for the evap system. So we're going to remove that, and it's just held in by like a rubber, and it just kind of just pulls off like that, and then we can remove the cover. Sorry about that, and remove the cover from the unit. Alright, so here we have the cover removed. This canister, I don't know if you all can see that, but they call this a bracket. It's actually a rubber strap that holds it to the cover, and as you can see, it's all cracking. So we did order a new one of those. I had previously noticed that before, so we got a new one. They're very cheap, and no sense in having that fall loose inside of the machine, so we're going to replace that as well while we're here. Alright, so there's a 7 millimeter bolt right down here next to the battery, which secures the inverter module into the bracket assembly. So by taking this bolt out, we should be able just to lift the inverter module up. But before we do that, we're going to remove this screw. It's also a 7 millimeter that holds the AVR to the bracket, just to have it out of the way so we can lift it up. There's some wires back here that we're going to need to remove that are attached to the AVR. So taking this loose, we'll be able to move that to the side. We're going to attempt to get all these connectors loose without taking this whole bracket assembly loose. They do have some locks on here that are nothing more than a little zip tie. There's several of them here. This one's already been removed from when we had this loose before. So there's a couple more connectors down there. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get those all loose. We'll cut the zip ties out, take the connectors loose, and lift the the inverter module up. Okay, so we did have a problem with the video. And this may actually, if I can't join them together, I'm limited to what kind of software I got here. So it may have a part one and a part two. But in any case, we have the connectors all removed. There's actually two separate connectors on this one right here. And we have them removed from the inverter module. Now there's one connector down here, which is a larger one. You can access that through the side here. And at this point, I think that the module will just lift straight up out of there, which it did. So we have that loose. And that's basically what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and retrieve the new parts, and we're going to start putting this back together, and then we're going to tackle that stepper motor. Okay, so after looking around inside of here with the inverter module removed, I've decided to switch gears for a little bit. So this connector right here, this one right here, actually runs over the top of the stator and back into the carburetor. I don't know if I can get a good shot of that right there. As you can see right here on the other side of my finger, that is a stepper motor. So with the inverter module removed, I'm thinking this might be a good time to try and tackle getting that out without having to disassemble the whole unit. There's one screw that is kind of high. You're not going to be able to see it from here, but it's back behind this other screw that's here. But we're going to have to access that. We may have to remove a couple other things to get to it, maybe the air cleaner or such. But we're going to go ahead and replace that stepper motor now while we have a little bit better access to it. All right, so we're going to access the stepper motor, or attempt to, through this side cover. We're going to go ahead and get that off, and we'll be right back. All right, folks. So there's the fuel system is right here, and this is the stepper motor right on the top. There's one screw here, and then there's another screw directly in the back. Similar setup to that. It's going to be a little tricky to get the rear screw out, and what I'm looking at here is there's a piece of plastic underneath the motor right there, that white plastic. So we have the new stepper motor here, and it has a shaft sticking out of the back of the motor, which I believe is going to go inside that plastic. Hopefully that's going to be an easy switch right there. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to get this stepper motor out of there. I'm going to start by removing this screw. I'm very limited on the tools that I have access to. I do have an extensive set of tools, as we did have a motorcycle shop. So I do not have access to any of those tools this time. So I'm basically just using some tools that I carry around in my truck. So hopefully we can get this loose with what we have. If I try any tricks or anything special to get that back screw out, I'll let you all know. I just wanted to show a video of this. I do not have a right angle Phillips head at my disposal right now, so I'm using a bit, a 1/4-inch drive bit, Phillips head, and I don't have a 1/4-inch wrench, so I did use a pair of pliers on that. The best thing to do would be use a wrench on it and get your finger up in there. But in any case, right now, to get to this back screw, there's no way to really successfully access it. It's kind of blind back there. So you might be able to get it out, but putting it in is going to be a problem. So we're going to go ahead. We've already removed the air filter, and we've opened the door. And if you lift the door up a little bit, it'll clear this bracket right here. And inside of here is 2 screws that hold this plastic assembly to the carburetor. We're going to go ahead and remove that at this time. There's the 2 screws right there, and we'll pull that out of the way, and we should be able to access that screw at that point. Okay, so we've removed the 2 screws from the air cleaner. Just a note that these screws that I took loose inside of here, you can see one right there, that the bolt actually goes all the way through the carburetor to the engine. So all practicality, your carburetor will be loose at this point. I guess you can see it wiggling a little bit there. I'm not going to actually try to remove the carburetor. I'm going to try to access the screw right there. We do have a hose coming from the valve cover to the air cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and take it loose at the valve cover right there. It just slides in. It's nothing special, just a hole in there. And the other hose right here goes to our canister. So I do have to replace that that strap, bracket, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to go ahead and try and remove that hose from here, which may kind of help in replacing this strap later. Okay, so we got the air box out of the way. Took a little finagling, really didn't have to take anything loose. It's just a little bit of turning and wiggling around in there, it will come out. So here again is the wire that goes to the inverter module, and back here is just a little metal band that holds it in place. We're going to go ahead and take that loose, and now we've got the wire loose all the way up to the stepper motor up here. So there's the other screw right there. You can see it's in a really interesting. Like I said, we're going to do this in several parts. Maybe if I can't join this software together, but these videos. But anyways, it may have got cut off there at the end. So the screw is back there. I don't know if you can really see it in this video, but we're going to go ahead and pull this wire over the top of this cable, which I believe that's the choke cable right here, which comes around and out the side panel over here. All right, so, and like I said, we're going to try to do this without taking this loose because we've got a few lines, propane line. We don't really want to mess with any of that. It is a good time to look at these lines as well while you're in here and make sure none of them are damaged or starting to crack. So we're going to go ahead and attempt to get that screw out the same way we got the front one. Like I said, if you have a right angle ratchet Phillips head, that would be awesome to get in there. We do not have access to that today, so we're going to be doing it with the bit that I showed you earlier. All right, so we did get the stepper motor out, and you can see it is mounted inside of a plastic bracket, and there's 2 Phillips head screws holding the motor into the bracket assembly. There's the shaft that I told you about that goes into the white plastic part that's actually on the throttle blade itself. So this is the bottom of those screws. We're going to go ahead and remove those screws. We're going to put the new stepper motor in the bracket, and I'm going to check and see how close I can get the shaft in the same position, so it should just slide right into the plastic piece on the throttle. Okay, so here we have the new stepper motor installed in the bracket. So what I did was, you can see where the connectors are, the position of the connectors right here. So I just rotated them over, both of them, and you can see the position of the shaft. So it doesn't have to be perfect, just got to be close. So I think I've got it pretty close, so I should be able to put it in there and kind of wiggle it around and get it to fit in there, and then we'll line up the screws, the 2 screw holes that hold it to the top bracket on the carburetor. I just wanted to let you guys know I do have the stepper motor sitting in there, and I do have it inside. You can see the shaft going into the plastic part on top of the throttle. However, that is a spring right here on that, so when you remove the stepper motor, this will return back to the closed throttle position, which is not the normal stop for the stepper motor. So I had to come around to this side and actually work the throttle right here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you can move the throttle shaft, just kind of wiggle it around a little bit to get it to fall inside the in the shaft like I have it here. So it's not going to fall right in. So you do have to move that back and forth to get the shaft inside of there, because it does move position once you take it loose. All right, so here we have the stepper motor is installed. The screws are back in. Also be sure to put the wire and the fuel line and the cable back in this hold down right here. This just wraps around and you close it with your fingers. So the one thing I want to do note is doing it with this this little bit that I have, definitely not the way to go. Really hard to get to the back when I actually had to use a pair of channel locks, small channel locks, to get the screw out of the back. You got to have that right angle Phillips head, the ratchet to do that. I wish I had one here to show you, but that's definitely the way to go. Otherwise, it's going to require, if you don't have one of those or can't obtain one, you're going to have to remove the carburetor to get it off. That's probably the easiest way. I have had this whole cover off one time for replacing a starter solenoid on this on the other side, and that is definitely a big job. So you don't want to go there. So the easiest way would be to take the carburetor off, but the best way is to get the right tool to get this off. I'm going to go ahead and put the air box back in, and we're going to change the strap. I just wanted to make a quick note here. Installing the air box back in, definitely, if you can, you definitely want to put some. I would use the blue Loctite on these threads. You definitely don't want these screws coming loose and falling inside of the carburetor here, or making its way inside the engine. So definitely put a little drop of blue Loctite on both of those, and then go ahead and snug them up. Also, just want to mention too that you do not want to go crazy tightening these up. We are working with plastic housing, aluminum, and all of this stuff that does not need to be over tightened. I don't have the correct torque specs for this. Not handy. I don't have a service manual for this unit, but I would say they're probably between 18 and 20 foot-pounds, and that might be a little bit tight too. So definitely don't over tighten them though. So here we got the canister off the machine, and this is actually the drain. There's no hose on this part, but make note when you remove the hoses from here, if you do just elect to replace this band, which I have the new band on there already, or bracket as they call it, just make sure you get these hoses back on the same position that they came off. Alright, so at this point we're getting ready to slip the inverter module back in. It's also good too to inspect all these connectors. Well, that one's brand new from the stepper motor, but look for any terminals that may be burned, or like the connector may be melted, and also look to make sure that all the terminals are not spread, so you get a good connection, because all this would cause issues as well. So these are all in pretty good shape, and I have checked them earlier when I replaced the AVR, which is right down here. So I did not have to disconnect the wiring from the AVR. I was able to move it back out of the way and to get the module out. All right, so we're getting ready to put the module back in. I just want to mention that there's a rubber bushing right here, or a mount if you will, and it slides right inside the bracket here. So you want to put that on the module first, and I usually use it in this position right here. This way, if it does stick in here, when you go to lift the module out, it'll still slide out of this bracket. So you just make sure that you don't lose those, because they do have a tendency to stick in here and they could fall inside of the machine or what have you there. Okay, so we got the inverter module back in. All the wires are connected back. I always like to take pictures of stuff before I disassemble it, if it's something I haven't worked on a lot of that I remember. So I went ahead and I took pictures of everything before I disconnected it. We've got the AVR back in, all the connections. We're going to go ahead and put the covers back on and put some gas in this thing and see what happens. Okay, so we filled it up with gas. I've already started it. It did start and die, and then the idle was erratic, so it's a learning curve. The inverter module actually controls the stepper motor, so it has to learn the position, so on and so forth. So it did stall, restarted it. It did hunt for the idle a little bit, and it seems to be running fine now. We have a Vitomin flash speed 1500, which uses quite a bit when it's charging. It's a fast charge. So we're going to go ahead and put the Champion inverter to its test and see if it can handle this. Well, we have success. At this point, I don't believe the stepper motor was an issue. I replaced it under their recommendation, but I believe the whole problem was the inverter module. But just a point too is that the inverter module does in fact control the stepper motor, as you saw where it plugged in. So all of that to me stems back to the inverter module. But like I said, they said there were some issues with it, and went ahead and addressed it while we were in there, and it's operating perfectly. The inverter modules are a little bit pricey, but when you start pricing what a new one of these units costs, you have to decide how old the machine is, how many hours you've used it, to put the investment back into repairing it. This one was bought in 2019. It's now 2025, and we have used it extensively on our camper, but it's been well maintained. I've always kept up the oil changes, and so I wasn't using any oil, and I felt like it may be worth what the module cost. So I do recommend getting your module from Champion. Great company to work with. The price, I found a couple online. They're really hard to find Champion parts online, but it was cheaper right actually from them. So if you do decide to fix it, good luck. And like I said, this is my first YouTube information video, so I If you guys can, subscribe and leave a like. And we may have some more videos coming. Thanks a lot. I hope this helped you some way. Bye. Also, I just want to add to, if there's something, any questions or anything you need to know, or how we came to the diagnosis of what was wrong with it, or anything at all, please leave it in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thanks again for watching.